The humble beaver. They chomp wood, they build dams, but how exactly did they help shape an entire continent? Well, let me explain. In the 16th century, a hot new fashion trend swept through Europe. Hats made from beavers. You see, beaver fur made excellent felt, which made excellent hats. They were soft, warm, and almost completely waterproof. Everybody wanted one. So, naturally, the Europeans hunted them to near extinction. Then, just when it seemed like the beaver hat trend was about to come to an abrupt end, because there were no more beavers, someone discovered beavers over in the newly discovered America, and not just some beavers, hundreds of millions of them. Europeans, mainly from France, England, and the Netherlands, flocked to North America to compete for access to these newly discovered beaver-rich lands. They worked with the local Native Americans who taught them how to navigate this unfamiliar American wilderness. They also taught them where to find beavers and how to trap them, as well as which berries were safe to eat and which ones make you poo everywhere and then die. The Europeans traded weapons, metal goods, and other supplies with the natives in exchange for furs. This partnership proved incredibly fruitful, leading to a booming beaver fur trade that became North America's first major export. This became so lucrative it quite literally kick-started American development, building roads, building bridges, building buildings, and funding wars. In fact, America's first millionaire was a guy called John Jacob Astor, who made most of his money selling beaver fur, despite never actually setting a trap himself. The beaver trade also gave rise to some of the first companies in North America, the two most prominent being the Hudson Bay Company and the Northwest Company. They both hated each other. All these rival parties competed fiercely with one another for access to these beaver-rich lands, and that meant things often led to violence. The most violent of these skirmishes was known as the Beaver Wars. On one side, you had the Iroquois Confederacy, made up of 5, later 6 native tribes, backed by their Dutch and British trading partners who supplied them with supplies and guns. On the other side, you had several other tribes, including the Huron and Algonquin, who were backed by the French. Both sides sought to expand their territory and control more of the fur trade. The conflict involved numerous battles and raids over a period of nearly a century, with heavy casualties on both sides. The Iroquois Confederacy effectively destroyed several large tribes during these wars. They ended up expanding their territory and taking control of the fur trade all the way from colonial New York into the Ohio country. All this beaver money-making potential encouraged the European colonists to explore further westward in search of more beaver. Instead of squabbling over existing beaver-rich lands, many set out to find more. They followed the major rivers and lakes upstream into the interior of the continent, including St. Lawrence, the Hudson, the Mississippi, and the Great Lakes. There was this French explorer called Samuel de Champlain who, whilst exploring the vast North American wilderness looking for beavers, just happened to stumble across some rather large lakes. These lakes turned out to be the Great Lakes, making him the first European to ever set eyes on them. Beaver money funded expeditions into new territories in search of more furs, including the Ohio Valley, the Great Plains, and the Pacific Northwest. The beaver trade quite literally pushed America westward. For many, it was the main driving factor of exploration. Along these routes, the colonists set up forts and trading outposts, which served as bases for further exploration, defense, trade with the local natives, and of course, colonization. Some of the most notable trading outposts and forts include Quebec City, founded by that Samuel de Champlain guy, Montreal, Albany, New Orleans, St. Louis, Astoria, founded by our millionaire friend John Jacob Astor, and finally, everybody's favorite, Detroit. These trading outposts attracted settlers from all across the continent looking to make money in the fur trade and to find cheap land. They also attracted missionaries who wanted to convert the local indigenous peoples to Christianity. These places, which were originally just set up to trade beaver fur, became highly important centers of commerce, culture, and politics in North America. But by the 1850s, things began to change. The beaver fever began to wear off, and the beaver hat trend shifted to different cheaper materials like sheep's wool and rabbit fur. It's thought that before Europeans reached North America, there were hundreds of millions of beavers all across the continent, and after all the overhunting that took place, it's likely there were only a couple million individuals or less by the mid-19th century. Since then, the beaver population has bounced back up a bit to about 12 million, still quite a way off from their height, but they're going in the right direction. Anyway, that's how the beaver shaped America, I think. Thanks for watching.